Pitawanich with your weekly recap. We'll be catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes confrontations between people in the Portland metro area and immigration enforcement. Plus, how one neighborhood is changing its tune weeks after the opening of a homeless shelter. And the latest findings about a major earthquake expected to hit Oregon and Washington. But our top story for the past few weeks now remains the potential deployment of National Guard troops to Portland and the court case connected to it. As of this recording, Friday afternoon, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals had not yet handed down a decision. Meantime, we've continued to monitor protests outside the ICE facility in South Portland this week. But this week also, videos have circulated on social media showing people in Hillsborough using their cars to box in federal agents on Tuesday. One of the people involved says she got an alert from a community group warning that federal agents were outside a nearby apartment. So she went to check it out. From there, she said she wanted to stop what she says she sees as an abuse of power.
We don't belong here in our streets. Our electeds have said as much, our neighbors have said as much, and we want them to leave.
Another video shows federal agents detaining a man in Northwest Portland that same morning. One person in the area said she noticed multiple cars and agents surrounding a Toyota.
It didn't look like the Portland police. They had the tactical vests. One said DHS, maybe federal police. I started videotaping, and two of the officers who didn't have their faces covered immediately covered their faces.
The law firm representing the man tells us he did enter the U.S. legally, and they're now working to confirm his status and future proceedings. U.S. Representative Maxine Dexter announced Thursday that an immigration judge has terminated the removal proceedings for a Portland mother who was detained at the U.S.-Canadian border. You may recall that lawyers said Jackie Merlos and her 4 children were detained in June during a family picnic. That's when Customs and Border Protection accused her of trying to, quote, smuggle illegal aliens into the U.S. Her children were released to a family friend, but Merlos remains in custody despite a pending visa application. Dexter says the judge ruled there's no legal basis for Merlos to be detained or deported and is calling for her immediate release. Meantime, Portland city officials are pushing back against the Trump administration's immigration policies. At a council meeting Wednesday night, city leaders approved 2 measures they say are designed to protect residents from immigration officers. Alma McCarty has the details.
Wednesday evening, music and speeches outside City Hall.
We are here to stand up for them because we refuse to accept a federal government that is trying to brutalize our neighbors and kidnap them off our streets.
This energy moved inside to the city council meeting as city leaders considered 2 proposals aimed, they say, at protecting Portlanders from immigration officers and the feds.
Now is the time for us to model being brave rather than staying silent and hoping things will be okay.
The first effort, establishing a Protect Portland initiative, which both denounces attempts by the Trump administration to deploy federalized troops and puts together a plan for how best to respond to federal overreach and threats to immigrant communities.
As leaders, I believe it is incumbent upon us to use every single tool we have to stand up for our community.
The second proposal, codifying Portland as a sanctuary city.
The resolution that we have as a city is comprehensive, but as our attorneys have told us, it's not legally binding.
Council briefed the public on some specifics outlined in both measures. For example, the city would give citizens the tools to report federal officer violations and train city staff on how to spot violations, create an information hub with multilingual resources, and strengthen the separation between PPB and federal immigration enforcement.
I actually think that we're going to win. It's just going to be really hard, and it's going to take all of us doing our part.
70 members of the public signed up to testify, the vast majority with a resounding call for the approval of both measures.
As tensions with the federal government continue to grow, the city of Portland must remain steadfast in its values.
Racial profiling is not hypothetical. It is a lived reality. The increased ICE activity and potential deployment of the National Guard, these are necessary first steps in protecting Portlanders.
Some even urging the city to go further and to act as soon as possible.
We really need the city to start treating this as the emergency that it is.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Recently, the most threatening thing I've seen yet was the naked bicyclers in Portland who were protesting ICE down there. I mean, it's getting really ugly.
That was U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson earlier this week talking about Sunday's naked bike ride protest here in Portland. When asked if federal agents are using too much force outside the Portland ICE facility, Johnson said it's the crowd of protesters that poses the real threat. It's worth mentioning protests at the facility have been largely peaceful. Demonstrators have made national headlines with their many inflatable costumes, though there have been arrests during violent outbursts at night. Now to some of our other headlines this week. Portland police are looking for video that could help them figure out who shot and killed a woman in Northwest Portland. Last Saturday night, authorities discovered Crystal Pendergraft's body inside her car on Kearney Street. Her family says they still don't know what happened to her. They just know that she was excited for a night out with friends. Her niece, Whitney Tillman, called it a random act of violence.
A heartache, a pure heartache for my grandmother, my whole family. We lost our backbone. We lost our person that takes us shopping and tells us what to do and cracks jokes, and I lost my auntie.
Police ask anyone living or working between Northwest 19th and 24th and between Gleason and Pettigrove to upload surveillance video they might have from between 5:50 and 6:30 a.m. Crime Stoppers of Oregon is also offering up to $2,500 for information that leads to an arrest. A Southeast Portland standoff that lasted more than 3 hours Wednesday left an armed suspect with life-threatening injuries. Police say the man refused to come out of a garage in the Brentwood-Darlington neighborhood near Southeast 72nd and Sherrod. Officers were helping U.S. Marshals serve a warrant, deploying gas to try and get him out of the garage. At some point, they say the man started shooting. When officers finally got inside the garage, they found the man had shot himself, and he was taken to the hospital. We don't know his condition. Police say officers did not fire any shots. And a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available 24/7. All you have to do is call the number on your screen. That is 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Well, you may remember people in the Pearl District pushed back against a new low-barrier homeless shelter opening in their community. That was just about 6 weeks ago. But now some of its most outspoken critics are praising the city's efforts. Catherine Cook has the update.
A lot can happen in 6 weeks. Take this low-barrier overnight shelter in the Pearl District. It opened exactly 6 weeks ago to a lot of fear and doubt from neighbors, especially Todd Zarnitz.
Everybody's just going to turn off the lights and we're going to see this destabilize the community, and that's a very real fear.
As president of the Northwest District Association, Zarnitz led the effort to prevent the shelter from opening. But 6 weeks later,
right now, I think things are going in a positive direction.
Fear and doubt have made way for cautious optimism.
I think right now we're seeing good things, and we want that to continue. So, I've been very critical from the get-go, and the city has, to our surprise, lived up to a lot of what they said they were going to do.
That includes increasing patrols in the area and promptly clearing any unsanctioned camps. The Salvation Army runs the shelter. They say participation peaked Monday night with 68 people. About 80% of participants are repeats, but they're also getting 2 to 3 new guests every night. And as the temperatures dip, they expect that number to grow. As far as crime, the city says the shelter hasn't reported any incidents since opening. Neighbors we talked with aren't surprised.
We were talking earlier, we were just playing with the dog with no worries, and we're right here at the building, so I think it's going great.
I thought it was a good idea in the first place. My hope is that it continues to house more people.
Right now, capacity at the shelter is 100, but can expand to 200. Long-term, Zarnitz and the city hope those staying here can move on to something more stable, but they know it'll take more than 6 weeks.
Yeah, it took a long time to get here, and it's going to take a long time to get back. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't suddenly end up on the street, and you just don't suddenly end up back into society.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
The city also says overnight shelters are not currently equipped to take in kids, so at times they've had to turn away families. But in November, they say they'll be opening 3 new shelters just for families. Roughly 4,000 Kaiser Permanente healthcare workers in Oregon and Southwest Washington went on strike Tuesday. It's part of a larger strike involving Kaiser workers in other states. This involves registered nurses, lab workers, and physical therapists, among other employees. They're bargaining for a new contract. Demands include better pay and staffing.
People are upset. People are sick of being the lowest paid nurses in the area. We are ready to fight for what we need to be able to staff our hospital and give great patient care.
Kaiser says it has bargained in good faith and offered a fair new contract, writing in a statement, quote, "A strike is unnecessary when a generous offer is on the table. It is designed to disrupt the lives of our patients, the very people we are all here to serve." The strike is scheduled to end on Sunday. Weather made headlines last weekend as well. Powerful wind gusts tore the roof off a building and sent debris flying last Sunday in Longview. Earlier this week, we spoke with the owners of Uncaged Cycles. They say the damage happened in less than 30 seconds. They showed us how a massive beam and the roof from Felton's Heating and Air nearby ended up in their apartment right upstairs from their motorcycle shop. They say they're grateful to be alive.
My wife was asking if I was hungry, so I said yeah, or I would have been up on the roof.
It sounded like thunder, and but we weren't sure, and then the building actually shook.
The National Weather Service says the wind was part of an upper-level low that sat over the Longview area. And while this was not a tornado, they can happen this time of year. Thursday was the International Shakeout. It's a day when millions of people around the world hold earthquake drills. And in Oregon, it coincided with local researchers making a huge discovery about the big one that so many of us have been warned about. As our Libby Dowsett explains, it may have even bigger consequences than we first thought.
Many Californians are used to hearing about earthquakes.
It's going to happen when it happens. You know, they can predict the weather. They can't predict an earthquake.
Even Oregonians have heard warnings about the big one for years.
Ignorance is bliss.
So I'm not super concerned with it. I feel like I've heard that so many times and nothing's happened.
But a new theory from Oregon state researchers that 2 fault systems along the West Coast may be synchronized and could trigger each other has Portland emergency managers considering their own resilience plans.
Now that we know more about how it could also trigger potentially both large and small earthquakes along the coast down south, that could potentially have an impact of how and when and who gets here to help out.
Portland Resilience Officer Richard Nerwal says people need to stock up now with at least 2 weeks of supplies and get to know their neighbors because immediate help may be hard to find.
It's not city officials, it's not FEMA, it's not emergency managers. The first help you'll receive is likely from your neighbors.
After the dust settles from an earthquake, Portland has designated 50 sites around the city called Basic Emergency Earthquake Communication Nodes, also known as beacons. Volunteers will come here and set up communication centers. KGW's beacon site is right here at Lincoln High School's football field. Emergency managers say it's also important to build some muscle memory with drop, cover, and hold earthquake drills.
If you cannot find a table to get under, cover your head with something you can find. If you're walking out and if you have a laptop, use your laptop to cover your head.
Emergency coordinators at the state level say if the Cascadia subduction zone experiences a full rupture of 9.0 in the next 30 to 50 years,
it's going to affect Northern California, Oregon,
Washington, British Columbia, Alaska, Hawaii. This is not like a crustal earthquake, which is 10 to 30 seconds. This is minutes long of slow rolling waves that are coming through.
So practice and preparation are the best ways to get through it.
Because we want people to survive and be healthy afterwards.
Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
So important to be prepared. Well, the old Gordon's fireplace shop along I-84 sold at auction Wednesday for $575,000. We don't know who won the bid, but those involved in the sale say it is a local group. Built in 1918, the building has housed several businesses over the years, including Gordon's Fireplace, which operated there for 6 decades before closing in 2016. It's since become a magnet for graffiti with broken glass and falling bricks. The sale requires final court approval and should close in the next few months. If you're looking for a great place to see the changing colors of fall, the Japanese Garden can help you with that. The garden is hosting what it's calling the Harmony of Autumn, giving visitors a chance to catch the beautiful fall colors.
We have 5 historic garden spaces that show the evolution of Japanese landscape architecture over the centuries that it has existed. We also right now have an art exhibition open called Designing Nature Elements of Harmony, and that actually covers the traditions and techniques that go into creating timeless landscapes like the one that we happen to be in right now.
For more on hours and admission, you can check out JapaneseGarden.org. Now here's a look at your weather.
From Portland, where we have had some rain this morning. It's been light, but enough that it's been at least measurable, like 0.01, 2 1/100 of an inch of rain. We had 7 1/100 of an inch up at Astoria along our north coast. Here's the wide satellite picture. Doesn't really pick up very well the weak front that's come through this morning. That's the reason for the light moisture we've had. It does show our developing Saturday night, Sunday rain out to sea. We will get into these clouds as soon as tomorrow morning, Saturday. The front coming together right back in here is what will come through with a heavy rain band that could bring some wind as well Saturday overnight. The rain that we've had this morning, you see the green showing up right there, is on the way out and will quickly become dry. And we should see increasing sunshine this afternoon. So all of a sudden today turns out to be lovely. Friday evening plans turn out to be under twinkling stars. Some live cameras for you again showing the morning clouds, but the beach should be clearing out today as well. Snookwinds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. There is the rain up at Timberline Lodge. Morning temperature has been plenty warm, 39. Breezy though, northwest winds to 25. And you can see the pockets of snow left over from last Sunday. Now with this new system coming in Saturday night, Sunday, looks like Mount Hood could pick up at least another 6 inches of snow down to 5,000 feet with lighter amounts down to 4,500 or maybe even 4,000 feet late Sunday. But there should be some decent snow for folks to go up and play in, if you will, like another 6 inches or more, as I mentioned, Sunday afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on that. Not expecting travel hazards really from our passes. Didn't see that last Sunday. Not expecting it this Sunday either. All right, so our state capitol has seen the clouds, but as far as I know, not the rain. You see some folks, quite a crowd of folks actually gathering down there on the Capitol Mall area. And here is a look at downtown Portland where the streets are wet from the early morning rain. Here's the way Futurecast shows it. 1 o'clock this afternoon, the clouds really on the way out, the sunshine coming statewide. Here are the clouds quickly returning Saturday morning, but we'll stay dry here in Portland, Salem, and Vancouver. And then Saturday overnight, this is 1 a.m. You see the heavy rain band, again, after midnight, Saturday night, coming through. This could produce 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts along the coast, could produce some 25-mile-per-hour breezes here in Portland. And the rain itself has a good chance to be heavy enough that it would wake you up out of your sleep. Again, that's Saturday overnight. Now, 7 o'clock Sunday morning, the front and the steady rain band with the wind has passed. But during the day, it now looks like just heavy showers coming and going. See the bright colors, maybe some little rain cells producing some stirred up gusty winds at times and maybe a rumble of thunder, although the flow pattern is from the west. So really you would expect this just to be rain and maybe some small hail mixed in with some of the rain showers. That rain chance ends Sunday overnight. How much we're looking at? This model is downgraded amounts to about 1/2 of an inch of rain at the north coast and anywhere from 1/4 to maybe 4/10 of an inch or so in Portland. All right. Forecast numbers for you here in the valley. With afternoon sun coming, light winds, our capital city gets up to about 65 degrees. And with sun developing, inland areas from Salem to Madras to La Grande, all in that low to mid 60 area. So very uniform weather later today. Here's Portland's 7-day. 63, again, if you're coming our way, all dry this afternoon, all dry this evening. Saturday, all dry in town, but will be gray, will be cloudy. And then the heavy showers coming and going Sunday. It looks like we get on a little run of all dry weather Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And then another run of rainy weather develops next Thursday. That's the current timing into that Friday, which of course will be just 1 week from Halloween.
If you're looking forward to another fall weekend, we've got some fun events you might want to check out. First up, it's one of the best traditions of the season. Tualatin is hosting its Pumpkin Regatta on Sunday. Competitors make their best pumpkin boats, then take them out onto Tualatin Lake to race. Spectators can also take part in family-friendly activities like pumpkin bowling and a costume contest. The event starts at 10 o'clock with races at noon and 2. And if you enjoy sewing, you'll want to check out Portland Stitch Fest. It happens at 1 o'clock Sunday at McMenamins Mission Theater. You'll be able to hear talks from sewing experts, take part in a fashion show featuring your creations, and connect with other crafty people in the area. You can get tickets in advance at mcmenamins.com. Or you could also head to the Portland Argentinian Festival on Saturday. Jaja PDX, that's an event space on Southeast Taylor, is hosting the event from noon until 8. Organizers say it's a way for the Argentinian community in Oregon to share their culture and traditions. Sounds fun. Also, this weekend is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It is Friday through Sunday at the Oregon Convention Center. You can check out game collections, play some retro video games, and also get a chance to meet some of your favorite video game characters. RetroGamingExpo.com is the place to go for tickets. And for more weekend inspiration, you can check out the 8 Things to Do article that's up each week at KGW.com. And that is a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm Christine Pedowanich, and a reminder, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel.